Welcome to the Spirit Side, everyone. I'm your host, Paul James Caiden. And today I just want to have one of those talk show moments with all of you that listen. You know, when I do a podcast, I've said it before, that it's not really planned. It's whatever comes to me. It's whatever I've been thinking about and pondering in my own life, always observing the world around me, what's going on in government, what's going on in society, what's going on all over the place. And I draw my own little conclusions based on my beliefs, my philosophy of life and what is it and why we're here. And lately, I've just been seeing all of this stuff in the news. If you turn on the news on TV, it's there. If you look at the headlines online, it's there. If you look at it, any newspaper articles, it's there. And it's just a constant barrage. I mean, we have here in the United States Trump's impending impeachment. You know, the world and the news media is abuzz over all of this. And, you know, it's like I asked my wife this morning when they were so involved with this in the media. You know, they had the news anchors and the specialists, on politics in the studio. And I asked my wife, I said, you know, what's really the big deal? Because now they can impeach the president, but he's not going to be removed from office. So where is the change? I mean, this individual will still be in office. He will still do things the way he does things. I said it's kind of like you and I looking at one another and saying, okay, we're getting a divorce. But then we just continue to live our lives the way we always have. You know, the pronouncement that we are getting divorced or divorced didn't have any change in the way we conduct ourselves, the way we live our lives, the way we run our household. I said it's almost nonsensical to me that this is such a thing, you know, and I'm not very schooled in politics. I'll admit that. Maybe there's something there that goes right over my head. But like I said, it's almost like a threat. You know, you're catching someone breaking the law and say, "That's it, buddy. You're going to prison." But then we say he's going to prison, but there's not actually ever going to be any prison time. You know, I don't know. And I'm sure, people will say, well, he's being impeached, so they're going to do this, they're going to do that. He can't do this, he can't do that. They're going to keep a closer eye on him or whatever the case may be. But this is politics, folks, and business will go on as it always does with all of its ruckus and nonsense and bad decisions and everybody clamoring. It's really like a circus, and I don't expect that's ever really going to end. You know, we also have buzzing around this whole upcoming election in 2020. We're back with the Russian meddling in the United States elections. And they have this thing, that there's Russian groups opening these political groups on Facebook and social media and posting memes and opinions that are meant to influence other people's thinking and the way that they'll vote. I mean, I'll just say this about that scenario, and you've probably all heard me say it before. Everybody seems like they're looking for a leader. Everybody looks like, they're looking for somebody to follow. Follow your own intuition. Follow your own inner guidance. If you want to know how to vote, no matter what country you live in, if there's a democracy, listen to the candidates. Listen to what they say. Look at their record. Make up your own mind who you think is the best man or woman for the job. You don't need anybody in the media. You don't need anybody on social media, for heaven's sake, telling you or influencing how you should vote or how you should think. And that's another big thing everyone is caught up in, the meddling with the elections on social media. For me, I can't even believe it's a thing that so many people are that influenced by social media. These devices we hold in our hands, I guess, wow, I guess if we can't find a person to follow, we'll follow what's on that little screen, that people tell us to do. We really need to start thinking for ourselves. And then, of course, there's the whole debacle in Syria, Turkey attacking Syria. And I'm sure most of you are aware of ABC News putting out the footage from a gun show in Kentucky and saying that this was villages, being bombed and shot at over in Syria. And then when they were found out, they said, oops, our bad. We didn't really look into this video footage enough. And I, for one, I don't believe that. I mean, if you can put up footage of something and there's people all over the internet, all over the country going, hey, that's the gun show in Kentucky. You mean to tell me that ABC News didn't know that? That seems like a little bit of a con job to me. And, when it comes to news and media, I actually, I don't know her well. I know her through the work that I do. Someone who works for a local news group out in California. And, she's familiar with, local and larger people that work in the media. And, she says that this kind of thing isn't uncommon, that they try to slip by the public. So, this isn't like a conspiracy theory thing. She works there and she's actually looking to change her job or maybe a different news outlet that would be maybe a little bit more on the take. But she says it's everywhere, that just the way they report things and the things they show, the things they're asked to report, and they'll do it, and if you're the yes anchorman or the yes news company, you're rewarded for that. You're doing what certain parties or people want you to say. Now, of course, not all of it, but there's some of it, maybe more than we'd like to admit. So that's also something to watch. Again, we all have our favorite. Most people, I don't have a favorite. I don't like any of them really. I find the news media to be very. Let's just put it this way: very unrestful, very unpeaceful to listen to. Even the tone and the cadence of their voice. And then when you get through with, people shouting at one another in an echoey studio hooked up to microphones, we switch to the commercials, which are usually very loud and screechy with, all kind of very busy, hectic music in the background, no matter what it is. And it's very, I watch movies and I watch a few things on TV. I'm not a gigantic TV person or couch potato. And when you're away from it for a while and you're not glued to the TV 24/7, you really notice these things. The way people talk, what the commercials are about, what they say in the commercials, the kind of music they play in the commercials that seem like it's very nerve-jangling and anxiety-inspiring. And, all of this, there's 1,001 distractions in our world just to keep us worried, keep us busy, keep our attention, trying to influence what we think, how we spend our money. And then we have, as I've talked about on this show before, the alien and UFO phenomenon. That just grows bigger and bigger every day. And now we have scientists who have been monitoring these strange radio signals out in space, and they don't know where they're coming from. And they're saying, now we kind of feel that it's from spaceships that are, flying through the universe, and we're picking up on their radio signals. But we haven't seen the ships because they're flying at light speed or beyond. So we can't really zero in and say, there's the UFO that it's coming from. And people are up in arms about this. Some people welcome the aliens because they're hoping they're going to come here and save us. Some people fear the aliens because they think it's going to be, some kind of lizard demon man, deception. And who knows? They could be right. You don't know. But it's just continual bombardment of the senses. And that becomes a very big distraction for us. Now, I want to put on the brakes here for a minute and switch topics, but I'm not really switching topics. I just want to interject this. If we just pause and think for a moment, each and every one of us are born into this world. We grow up, we live, we work, and one day we leave this world. We pass away. Some of us go later, some of us go earlier, but we're all passing through this world. We're all going to leave it eventually. But yet, while we're here in this world, we're surrounded by people, organizations, the media, the government, whatever it may be, that is such a ponderous distraction to our attention and our thinking and our lives, that we get buried in this quicksand of nonsense that most people don't even think about the big picture. We live, or these people that are in charge, as they call themselves, want us to live like this is all there is. That we're slaves to this system. Let's all fight about politics. Let's all fight about religion. Let's all worry about, what's going to happen if aliens land. Let's all worry about, some bozos on social media trying to tell us how to vote. Let's be the bozos going on social media trying to tell people how to vote. I mean, it's this melee of BS that when each and every one of us take our final breath, it's not going to matter a hill of beans. And then we wonder why we feel so much fear and trepidation when we think of things like illness and death and getting old and how much time we have left. Most people, admittedly so, will tell you that they spend most of their time trying not to think about that. Oh, I try not to think about that. I try to keep myself busy and distracted. It freaks me out. But why? It's a process that we are all going to face sooner or later. And for all intents and purposes, I am 99.9% sure through the years of research that I've done that there is definitely something after this. And most of us are completely unprepared for that. Or we listen to the pseudo-intellectuals or bogus philosophers, or the half-cocked scientists that go out there and say, studies show. This doesn't exist. That doesn't happen. There's no evidence for God. In fact, our evidence shows that there's probably not such a thing and probably not. What we don't realize, ladies and gentlemen, do you see all these scientists that are writing books and they're always on the talk shows and they're always on the TV programs and they're everywhere just talking. Here's what we know. Here's what we found. Here's my book. You know those people. Most credible scientists who are dedicated to their work and want to find the truth will say about those people, and it's been said time and time and time again, they are people who take one little piece of unsubstantiated evidence that seems to substantiate their claims and beliefs, and they'll run with it. They'll write books, they'll publish articles, they'll go on TV because these people want to make a name for themselves. They're not necessarily giving you the big picture or the whole picture, because there's a lot of stuff that they're either ignoring or purposely leaving out just so they can look like, look at me, I got 1,000 letters after my name, and I'm telling you because I'm a PhD XYZ elemental P, that here's what reality is all about. And it's just not so. So we can't believe a lot of that hype when it comes to us. We really can't. There is enough sufficient evidence that if we really do our due diligence, we look at reality, we look at concept of divine spirit, infinite mind, God, if you will, that make us go, that's pretty fascinating evidence that's founded. And it seems to say that there is something out there. There is something more than this. And as I said, we're completely unprepared for it. How many people in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year, throughout the years of their lives, they've never just contemplated the presence of something so much bigger in this world and in this universe that's all around them, even within them. How many people haven't even devoted 10 minutes to anything like meditation or prayer, or really digging into these subjects to see if there's anything real to them? And some people say, well, I can't. It freaks me out. I don't want to know. You know, they get these crazy, bad religious ideas. They're going to be judged. They're going to be tossed into hell for any little infraction, or it just kind of freaks them out. No, I want to focus on the here and now, and they stay away from it. But that kind of practice, that kind of study isn't to turn us into fanatics and critical, judgmental people. It's there to enhance and enrich our lives. Bring us more peace, make us more kind, more loving, more decent. We see more beauty and goodness in the world. We become a part of the beauty and the goodness in this world. That's what it's all about. And that brings a lot of peace of mind when you think of life now and life in the hereafter. But so many people don't even think about these things because they're all wrapped up in this illusion. Like this is all there is. You know, we gotta worry about our favorite sports team. We gotta worry about, our political party. We gotta, worry about all this nonsense or my social media status. All the little things we worry about, and then we have the people who, are considered the ultra rich, and they sit around, they got millions or billions of dollars, and these people will sit around worrying about how they can get more money and control all the natural resources and own everything and, even own and manipulate the weather for, war purposes or whatever it is they want to do with it. I mean, it's ridiculous. You got jugheads like the people at Nestle running all over the world, buying up all the water because they want to control and own the water. I mean, how absolutely ridiculous and insane can you get? And if you were to ask them why, well, I want to leave a legacy. That legacy is not going to matter much to you once you leave this world, especially if you leave a bad one, hurting other people, trampling on other people, killing other people to leave that legacy for your family. I mean, we don't think beyond the little illusion that we live in. And it seems that man is so engrossed in this illusion that he even wants to take away the natural beauty of the natural creation. I mean, animals are going extinct. The honeybees are dying. Trees are dying because of what we pump into the air and into the ground and into the water. Oh, but we're not worried about that because, we can have these, artificial, computerized drone honeybees and trees and this. We can rebuild the landscape with technology. Well, gee, I wonder what that's going to look like. It seems that anything that is pure and good and decent and a reflection of just the beauty of the power that put all of this into being, man wants to erase it and just box himself more and more into his own sorrowful little delusion and illusion. But I want to say on this show today, don't get caught up in that illusion. Don't be running around like your hair is on fire, worrying about what's going on, with the government, worrying about what's going on in the media, worrying about what's going on social media, worrying about all this, just very inane stuff that everyone is worried about, and the world at large just pumps in front of us all the time. Maybe it would be more beneficial for all of us, most of us, at least those of us who care to get our attention and our thoughts and our minds off of all of that and start focusing on big picture. There's more than this. There's more to come. There's more to you as an individual. And your happiness and your peace and your future and your joy has nothing to do with all of the garbage that's happening on this planet around us 24/7. Your happiness, your future, your peace, your joy, your contentment, it's all right there within you. All you have to do is make that connection. Make that connection with, as some call it, the higher power, with God, with divine spirit. And make it a personal connection, a deep connection. Don't try to find the connection by just going to another group or another person or another organization to tell you, well, here's how you connect with it. And then they hand you their little blueprint. That's not going to be spiritually and emotionally satisfying. You hear people say when they're trying to lose weight, and you hear the professionals say, not every diet is for every person. And not every diet will work for every person. Some people don't tolerate certain diets as well as others. Well, it's the same with that spiritual connection. It's not the same for everybody. There's people out there that would like to tell us that it has to be exactly the same. But again, that's just following someone in this world, in this illusion, giving us their opinion on how we should do things and live our lives and practice our faith and believe in what we believe. Now, that's not saying that we never take anyone's advice in this world. Of course we do. We have to be sensible about these things. We should be aware about what's going on in the world, and we should pay attention to what's going on around us. We have to be balanced. We have to be reasonable. We have to be logical. We can't get all fanatical and weird about these things. But we can put on the brakes, and we can do some thinking for ourselves and decide what we want to pay attention to, what we don't, what advice we want to take, what advice we don't, what advice is good, what advice is bad. We can weigh all of these things out and make a reasonable decision for ourselves. It doesn't mean we become an island unto ourselves. It just means we begin to think and reason things out without somebody else telling us, here's how you do it. And that goes perhaps doubly for our connection with those higher powers of the universe. Think it through. What does it mean to you? How do you feel? How do you feel you connect with it? Is it walking through nature? Is it meditating? Is it praying? Is it reading the Bible? Is it going to church? I mean, a church that's not going to force feed you, how to live every aspect of your life. But there's good churches out there that nourish people spiritually and give them good things to think about. But see, this is all stuff you have to figure out for yourself, and not let other people or the illusion dictate it to you. This reality is temporary, and I believe it's more of an illusion than we think it is. After all, once again, quantum physicists tell us that everything is waves and particles, and we're basically living in some kind of simulation. None of this is really real. That's kind of mind-boggling when you think about it. Is this a classroom? Is this a test? Is this where we are to mature and grow and learn? Is this the spiritual incubation stage for something greater and larger? But most of us want to set up shop here in the incubator and, rule the infant wing of the hospital. I mean, it's something to think about. And I hope that you will think about it. And I appreciate you listening once again. And remember, if you enjoy this podcast, if you would like to support the work, my link to my Patreon page is below. I'm eventually going to get some exclusive shows over there, but, of course, I want to get a few patrons first, and then I will think about that. But if it's something you'd like to do, the link is below. Also, my Angel Thoughts Metaphysical page. If you'd like an angel reading, some spiritual counseling or metaphysical healing for anything that's going on in life, you can certainly look me up there. Or if you want to drop me a line, my email is below as well. Again, I really appreciate you guys listening, and I hope this gave you some food for thought, as it did me pondering these things over the last couple of days. So take care out there, everybody. Stay safe. Think for yourself. Don't let the illusion bury you alive. And I'll see you next time here on the Spirit Side.